Good afternoon, student. Welcome to the live lecture of functional analysis. In the last lecture, we have seen some basic aspect related to Banach spaces. In that, we have seen some examples where the example illustrates that distance between x plus z and y plus z is exactly equal to distance between x and y. Here is the geometrical interpretation. The textbook proof also we have seen. Similarly, distance between alpha x and alpha y is mod alpha times distance between x, y. These are the two examples we have seen. Then we have proved an important result showing that modulus of norm x minus norm y less than or equals to norm of x minus y. Right? We have proved this by stepwise procedure. Okay, and with this result, one can easily conclude that the function is uniformly continuous. Okay. Also, we have proved that the function is continuous as well. Okay, to prove continuity, what the method we have used? We have taken one convergent sequence, that is sequence xn in the same nonlinear space n, such that xn converges to x, which actually means that norm of xn minus x less than epsilon, right? And then to prove continuity, our aim is to prove that the sequence of f images, that is f of xn converges to f of x. I think this is a question I have raised in the last lecture. Why, after proving this, how can we understand the function is continuous function? Have you seen the reason behind this? If a sequence is convergent sequence, proving the f images of the sequence point converges to f of x, it proves that the function is continuous function. This is a question mark. You have to just tell me why it is so, right? Then by using the previous result, we have proved this, that the function f is continuous also. We have written function is uniformly continuous. Later we have proved that every convergent sequence in a non-linear space is Cauchy. Okay. Hint is given to us. A hint I have given you in order to prove the result. I hope you have written the proof. Right? What about the converse of the statement? Whether every Cauchy sequence is convergent in the same non-linear space. That is important again. Right? These are some examples we have seen in which the sequence is convergent actually, but not converges to the same point in the same nonlinear spaces. Therefore, the converse need not be true. Okay. Now, in today's lecture, we are interested in going to the actual definition of Banach space. Right? Complete nonlinear space we have seen. No. Let us just recall what is the definition of complete nonlinear space. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. Let us recall the definition of complete nonlinear space. Yes, anyone? Let X be a nonlinear space, right? X is said to be complete. Yes.
If every Cauchy sequence in X is converges to that point.
Right. Point in the same space. It is said to be complete if every Cauchy sequence in X is convergent in X. Convergent in X means what? It converges to a point in X. Okay. Now let us come to a definition of a Banach space. Let us come to a definition of a Banach space. Okay. Space we know actually, right? Now it's a vector space or linear space. Now we were interested in knowing Banach. Okay. Banach is a name of a mathematician, and as this definition was given by the mathematician, the name is given in his honor. That's why it is Banach space. The definition of Banach space is very simple. A complete normed linear space is called as a Banach space. A complete normed linear space is called as Banach space. Right? That the mathematician has given this structure as a special value, a special importance, and that's why the space is called as Banach space. Let me just stop this sharing the screen. Let me show you some information about a mathematician. Yes, is the screen visible? Wikipedia screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Therefore, he was a mathematician, Stephen Banach. Okay. Stephen Banach, the life tenure is 30 March 1892 to 31 August 1945. Polish mathematician. He was a Polish mathematician. Here we can see very easily a quick review of his life that he died at the age of 53. His nationality is Polish and he is basically known for these points. Right? First is Banach's place, right now? First is Banach's place. And actually he is also known as the founder of functional analysis. He is the person, he is the first person who has given the concept of functional analysis. There are few important theorems in the Banach spaces. Some of the theorems are there for our syllabus also. For our syllabus, we have Banach fixed point theorem, we have Banach-Steno's theorem, we have Hahn-Banach theorem, and some of the important theorems we are going to study in our paper of functional analysis. Okay, it is always interesting to know about the life history of the mathematician. Therefore, I suggest everyone to read about the life history. If you want to read in Marathi, you can read a book of Ganiti written by Achyut Godbole sir. Okay. Here, if you just read information about him, whatever is that Banach, a surname. This surname was given by her mother. This is not a surname by his father. Okay. The name of his father is Stephen Grzech and the name of her mother is Tatiana Banach. Right. Some story was given. I think you can read. Okay. And actually, due to his important contribution to functional analysis, Polish Academy of Sciences, Institute of Mathematics of Polish Academy of Sciences has established a special Stephen Banach Medal for outstanding achievements in mathematical science. Okay, and in that institute of Krakow, there is a monument also, Banach Monument. Okay, he was very famous mathematician at the age, right? Okay, let us come to the. Okay, again, screen is clearly visible, I think. Yes, is the screen visible or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay, let me just write the name, full name, Stephen Banach. Okay, life tenure, 30 March 1592 to 31 August 1945. He was a Polish mathematician and is known as founder of functional analysis. He was the founder of functional analysis. He is also he also formed the mathematical society. Formed a mathematical society. Okay. Therefore, what is this Banach space? Banach space is basically a normed linear space which is complete, and the name is given by a mathematician Stephen Banach. That's why the name is Banach space. Okay. Understood? A complete normed linear space is called as a Banach space. Let us go to some examples of Banach spaces. The first example we will see is a very simple example of modulus as a norm. Right? The first example we will see show that the real linear space and complex linear space. The real linear space and complex linear space are Banach spaces. Under the norm. We have to ask for the norm always, no? Under which norm we have to check it is Banach space. Right? Under the norm x is equal to mod of x. What is the meaning of norm x is equals to mod of x? Norm x is actually distance of a vector x from the origin. Okay. And how it is being calculated? By modulus. By modulus means what? How we were finding the distance? This is the shortest distance rule, right now? Okay. If this is a vector, say, mod x real line space. No, this is what I am showing you in complex. A real linear space it is asked. No, real linear space means what? R. Real line only. This is 0. Somewhere here is the vector x say. Then what about mod of x? This is mod of x minus 0 actually. Therefore, this is the distance, norm x. Okay. What about complex spaces? How we were finding the distance in complex spaces? Modulus x. If x is a number, complex number say x is equals to a plus ib. What is the value of mod of x?
A square plus b square under root.
Yes, it is in the under root a square plus b square. Can anyone show me this on this plane? How can I find it? This is 0. A is actually x coordinate, no? A, and this is we are writing b. Therefore, again under root a square plus b square, what it is going to represent? Shortest distance, no? Like this. Correct, no? Now, what is the aim to show? Both these spaces are the Banach spaces under the norm defined as mod of x. Let us go. Okay, there are 2 steps to verify. In first step, we will check that this is a normed linear space. Okay, and in the second step, we will go for completeness because the definition is complete normed linear space. First, we will check normed linear space and then we will go for proving the completeness property. Therefore, let me write step number 1. What to prove in this step number 1? To prove that R and C are normed linear spaces. Whether it is essential to check these are the linear spaces? No, it is given already, no? Real linear space, complex linear space. Therefore, it is essential to prove it is normed linear space. Means what one has to do? One has to check whatever is this norm given, whether it is a norm actually, that is whether it satisfies the 4 conditions of the norm. Therefore, let us go on verifying all the 4 conditions one by one. What I wanted to prove the first condition, norm x is non-negative, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
But what is the definition given to us? Norm x is equal to mod of x. What is the value of mod of x? It is always non-negative, no? For both the elements in R and C also, right? Correct, no? For all the elements of R and C. Because in R, it works as a distance in the modulus. And in complex analysis, this is the distance again calculated with this formula under root a square plus b square. Right now, what is the second condition to prove? Yes? Yes, can anyone tell me what is the second condition to prove? Yes, students? No one is remembering the second condition.
Norm of x is equals to 0 if and only if x is equals to 0.
Very good. Norm x equal to 0 if and only if x is equal to 0. Okay, let us consider. Let us try to prove this. What is the meaning of norm of x? We have norm x is defined as mod x, no? Right? Therefore, may I write directly norm x equal to 0 implies an implied by. Now I will replace the definition by mod x is equal to 0. But what about mod x is equal to 0? May I write x is equal to 0? In both the cases, right? In complex space and in a real space. Mod x is 0 means this x is traveling towards 0 and here this x is traveling towards origin again. Right? Therefore, mod x equal to 0 implies and implied by x is equals to 0. What to prove in the third condition? Yes?
Norm of
What
x
is
plus y is less than or equal to norm of x plus norm of y.
very good. Norm of x plus norm of y. Now to prove this result, we will try to separate it into two subcases. Why I would want to separate in two subcases? Because norm works differently for real numbers and norm works differently for the complex number. Therefore, first let us try to prove it for the real numbers. Therefore, what about norm of x plus y? Norm of x plus y, may I write as mod of x plus y? Okay, and as we are in the real numbers, may I write directly this mod x plus y is less equal by mod x plus mod y. Correct, no? Can we write it directly for the complex numbers? No, we cannot write it directly for the complex numbers. Okay. Therefore, we will write separately for complex. Mod x is again norm x. This mod y is again norm y. Therefore, what we have proved? Norm of x plus y is less equal by norm x plus norm of y. Now, let me go for subcase. X is in complex number, right? Now what about complex numbers? How modulus works in for the elements of complex number? That we have to find. Okay. Now in order to prove this result, as actually modulus involved with the square root. Therefore, let us start with a norm square. Okay. Let us start with norm square. Therefore, first let me try to consider mod of x plus y bracket square. Correct now? Because if I am going to consider norm square of x plus y, what is the value? I can write like that also. Consider norm square of x plus y. I think everyone is getting me why I am taking a square. Because for modulus, we are involved with under root sign. No? Therefore, we were taking square. This is equal to modulus square of x plus y. How this modulus square is evaluated? How mod z square we were writing in complex number? Is it z into z bar?
Yes, no.
Therefore, let me write here also. This is x plus y into x plus y bar. Right? How can I write this bar? Can I separate it as x bar plus y bar? Let us have a multiplication by x first. This is x bar plus x y bar. Let us multiply by y. This is y x bar plus y bar. Okay. What is x bar? Is it mod x square? Right? No?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can I take a modulus on both the sides for the sake of convenience? Taking modulus on both. What happens if I take a modulus? Is there any effect on the left hand side? There is no effect because it is norm is always non-negative. So let us take a modulus on both the sides. Okay. Therefore, may I write this as mod x squared plus mod x y bar plus mod y x bar. Okay, I will not separate mod first. I will write as it is. What to do if I want to separate this? May I write with less equal? Mod x square plus mod x mod y bar plus mod y into mod x bar plus mod of y square. Is it okay? What is the value of mod x and mod x bar? Whether the values are equal?
Yes.
Therefore, may I write this middle term combinedly 2 mod x into mod y? Reason? Mod z is equals to mod z1. Correct, no? Therefore, can I write this left hand side as mod x plus mod y bracket square? To the left we have norm square of x plus. Now let us take a square root on both the sides, which gives us norm of x plus y less than or equals to mod x plus mod of y. Therefore, what is the value of mod x we know? This is norm x plus mod y. Hence, this triangular equality we have proved for the complex numbers as well. Is it okay? So let's move for the next fourth property. What is the fourth property to prove? Norm of alpha x equals to mod alpha into norm of x. Okay, let us prove. Consider norm of alpha x. Okay, according to the definition, this is mod alpha into x. How can I write this mod alpha into mod of alpha into x? Is it mod alpha into mod x? Again, this mod x I replace by norm of x. Hence the proof. Okay, what to write then? Thus, all conditions of norm function are verified. Thus, norm x equal to mod x is a norm on R and C. Is it okay? If now can I write? Hence, R and C are normed linear spaces. Is it okay? R and C are normed linear spaces. What's the next step to prove? In order to prove this to be a Banach space, we have to prove it is a complete normed linear space. Okay. Now, is it essential for us to prove the completeness? Yes. What is the nature of R and C? Are they complete spaces or not? See, we were writing, we know that, no? We all know that R and C are the complete spaces. Every Cauchy sequence is convergent. Right now? At least you have to reply me so that I can know whether you know this or you don't know this. R and C are the complete spaces. Hence, I can write both are the Banach spaces. Yes, any difficulty with the example? If you have, you can ask me. R and C are complete spaces or not? I think at the starting when we were discussing some basic concepts, someone has told me, no? Kajal, I think, why Kajal? You raised this point, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, no. You told us, na, these are the complete spaces. Starting
Yes, ma'am.
every Cauchy sequence is convergent. By which principle you told us? Cauchy's? Yes, by which principle you told me, Kajal? Every Cauchy sequence is convergent. Yes, Kajal, can you repeat?
A general principle of Cauchy sequence.
Yes, general principle. That we have studied already in our TYBSc. Therefore, I am not going to
Yes,
repeat the
ma'am.
proof here, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if you are interested in knowing the proof, you just take any book of analysis, you will get the proof of these spaces are the complete spaces. Okay. Rather, you can take this as today's
Yes, ma'am.
homework. Everyone, you take this as a today's homework to prove that every Cauchy sequence in R and C are convergent sequences.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me write this as a homework. This I will keep for homework. These are the complete spaces. Okay. Understood
Yes,
the
ma'am.
first example that the whatever the modulus we were using, actually this modulus gives us the shortest distance between a vector and the origin. That shortest distance is also one kind of norm. Okay, this is what we have proved, and as we have proved this as a norm and we have proved the space is complete as well. Therefore, this real and complex linear spaces are the Banach spaces. Banach spaces under which norm? Under modulus norm, right? This is what we have proved. Let us go to the next example. But before going to prove the next example, actually the next example is a example of Euclidean spaces, an n-dimensional space. Okay. To prove these spaces are the Banach spaces, we were going to use some famous inequalities. Okay. Now I think you heard these inequalities previously. Holder's inequality and Minkowski's inequalities, right? Let us let us write the statements of the inequalities. Holder's and Minkowski's inequality. Have you heard about these inequalities or not?
Yes.
These inequalities are true for the n-dimensional spaces. Therefore, let me write let x equal to an n-dimensional vector x1, x2 to xn and y equals to y1, y2 to yn denote n-tuple or n-tuples of scalars. N-tuples of scalars. The scalars may be real or complex. Okay. Define norm P. What norm P is? It's a way to find out the distance, right? No. How it is being defined? Summation mod xi raised to P raised to 1 by P for P greater equal by 1. You may have a question of what kind of distance is being calculated. No, we will come to this. Okay. What happens if I put the value of P as 2 here? Because for P equal to 2 we are familiar. Or let me write the inequalities first and then we will come to the discussion. Okay. First I will write Holder's inequality. What Holder's inequality suggests? Summation I equals to 1 to n mod of xi into yi is less than or equals to. Let me write summation I equals to 1 to n mod xi raised to p raised to 1 by p into summation I equals to 1 to n mod yi raised to q raised to 1 by q. Okay, and this is actually can be written as norm p of x into norm q of y. See how I am pronouncing. Some students were pronouncing this as norm yq. No, norm q is a function operated on y. Therefore, how one should pronounce this? Norm q of y. right? This one is norm P of X if P greater than 1 and Q is defined by. How Q is defined by 1 by P plus 1 by Q is equal to 1. This is Holder's inequality. Let me write the next one is Minkowski's inequality. What is Minkowski's inequality? Summation I equals to 1 to a mod of xi plus yi raised to p raised to 1 by 2 is less than or equals to summation mod xi raised to p raised to 1 by p added with summation mod yi raised to p raised to 1 by p. Okay, and this first is nothing but as per the definition, this is norm p of x plus y. This is norm p of x. This is norm p of y. Okay, what is the condition on p? 1 less than or equals to p less than infinity, or one can write simply p greater than or equals to 1. Okay, one more inequality we were going to use. This is Cauchy's inequality. This Cauchy's inequality is actually a special case of Holder's inequality. This is special case of Holder's inequality. Inequality for p equals to 2. What will happen if I put the value of p is equals to 2? What should be the value of q in this case? If I take p2, what should be my q? We want to satisfy this relation, no? For any p, we want to find out q such that 1 by p plus 1 by q is equal to 1. Therefore, if I take the value of p as 2, what will be the value of q?
2.
Yeah, it's 2 again. Therefore, this is the special case of Holder's inequality for p equals to q equals to 2. Let me write. Here we were going to define the norm by how can I define the norm then? Let me put the value of p as 2 now. Therefore, this is sometimes written as norm 2 of x or sometimes this is simply norm of x. Okay, this is summation mod xi square raised to 1 by 2. Then, what the inequality tells us? Summation mod xi yi I equals to 1 to n is less than or equals to norm x into norm of y. These are some famous inequalities which we were using in order to prove the examples of n-dimensional Banach spaces. Right? Now, here let us put p is equal to 2 and we were going to understand why this, how the distance is being calculated. Right? In Cauchy's inequality, we have kept the value of p as 2. Right now? Let us try to think how this distance is being calculated. Okay, actually we know that whenever we were calculating norm of x, this is the distance between origin and the vector x. Origin and the vector x. Therefore, what is the distance formula if I calculate norm of x minus 0? Distance formula in the two vectors. What will be the coordinates of x? Say x1, x2 to xn. What are the coordinates of 0? 0, 0, 0, na? N tuple 0. Then how will you find out the distance? By this formula norm. Yes. Shall I repeat? What is the distance formula? How we were finding? x1 minus y1 bracket square plus x2 minus y2 bracket square. Right now, this is the distance formula we were using. Shortest distance between any two vectors. Now if I use the same here, what will be the formula?
Under square root x1 square plus y1 square, x2 square up to so on xn.
Very good. And this is in under root, right? And that is actually, we were writing in a summation form. Summation I equals to 1 to n, x1 minus 0 is x1. Therefore, instead of simply writing x1, we were writing mod of xi square. Right now? Therefore, what this formula gives us? Okay, I forgot raised to half. Okay, therefore, what this norm x is giving us for a particular case of 2, which is again a shortest distance between the 2 points with the help of distance formula. And if for the different values of p, if I take p equal to 3, say, what will happen? Summation mod xi cube raised to 1 by 3 will be the formula, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, whatever is the distance calculated will be defined to be a norm. For every value of p, it is giving us one norm. How many norms can be defined then? Infinite norms can be defined, no? For p greater than or equals to 1. Taking p positive integer. Right? Out of those infinite norms, our distance formula, that is the shortest distance, coincides with one of the norm. That is, this distance formula itself is one of the norm acting on the n-dimensional real and complex space. That we wanted to prove actually. Yes? These inequalities we were not going to prove. These we were going to take without proof because you have seen the proofs earlier. Okay. So let me go for the example of Euclidean and unitary spaces. Example number 2. Do you know what is Euclidean and unitary space? I think Euclidean you heard. Yes? What is Euclidean? If the scalars under the consideration are real number, then those are Euclidean. If those are complex, it is called as unitary spaces. What is asked to prove us? Show that the linear spaces Rn and Cn of all n tuples x. How the n tuple we were denoting? x1, x2 to xn, say, of real and complex scalars are Banach spaces. Are Banach spaces under the norm. Yes, what norm is given? Norm x is equal to summation I equals to 1 to n mod xi square raised to half. Means this is my distance formula, shortest distance, no, between any 2 points, right? Okay, let me write in bracket, usually called as Euclidean and unitary spaces. Okay. Yes. Now what to prove again? In order to prove these are the Banach spaces, Rn and Cn. First we have to show that whatever is this norm given is a norm, so that the spaces become normed linear spaces. And second condition is to prove the completeness, right? Shall I write my step 1 then? What to prove in step number 1? To prove that Rn and Cn are to prove that Rn and Cn are normed linear spaces. Let us go on verifying. Let us verify 4 conditions again. Quickly we will verify. What I wanted to prove in the first one, norm x is greater equal by 0. Consider what is norm x given to us. Summation mod xi square raised to half summation I equals to 1 to n. Okay, what's the nature then? This bracketed quantity, what is the nature of this bracketed quantity? What about mod xi? Mod xi is non-negative, no?
Yes.
What about mod xi square? Non-negative. What about sum of mod xi square?
Non-negative.
Non-negative. What about the square root of a non-negative term? Square root of a non-negative term. It has both the options, no? Positive and negative. Out of both the options, we were selecting the positive value or rather a non-negative value, right? Norm x is non-negative is the claim. Okay. Though we have both the values, both the possibilities. Though the square root takes positive, negative values, we select positive value, no? Why we were selecting positive value? Because we were not going to count a distance in negative major, right? Therefore, in order to prove this to be a NOR, we were selecting a positive. Both the possibilities are there. We will select the first possibility. In the second point, what to prove? Norm x is equal to 0 implies and implied by x is equal to 0. Let us start with norm x again. Consider norm x is equal to 0. What definition tells us? Summation mod xi square raised to half is equal to 0. Let us make a square on both the sides. Okay. As this every term involved in the summation is non-negative and sum of these non-negative terms is 0. Therefore, what is the only possibility for the terms involved in the summation?
0 only.
Yes, every term must be 0. Therefore, may I write mod xi square is equal to 0 for all I equals to 1 to n. Okay. If mod xi square is 0, can I write mod xi 0? And hence, can I write xi 0? For all I equals to 1 to n. And if xi is equals to 0, what about a vector x? Is it 0, 0, 0? Or vector 0, 0, na? Therefore, this is a 0 vector. This is vector, remember, not scalar 0. Is it okay? Third condition to prove. Now to prove the third condition, we are going to make use of the Cauchy's inequality. Okay, let me write the two tuples we have selected here specifically. Let x equal to x1, x2 to xn and y equals to y1, y2 to yn be any two vectors or members of what I will do, I will write it for Cn. If it is true for Cn, it will be automatically true for Rn. Clear, no? If I prove it for Rn,
Yes.
we cannot say that it is true for Cn. But if I prove the result is for Cn, it will be true for Rn as well because Rn is a subset of Cn. Okay? Then consider. What to consider? Again, I'll consider the square on both the sides. Norm square of x plus y. Y square, because in norm we have square root. Therefore, if I take square on both the sides, norm square will be summation mod xi square. It will be easier for us to evaluate, right? Yes, let me write the vectors x1, x22, xn plus y1, y22, yn. Therefore, what about that n tuple vector? Coordinate wise addition will be followed. Therefore, this is x1 plus y1, x2 plus y2, right? Lastly, this is xn plus yn. Then how will you find out the norm of this n tuple vector? Yes, can anyone tell me how to find out the norm of this n tuple vector? If it is x, we have written xi. What is xi? What is xi? Xi is ith coordinate of x, right now? Now here you have to select, you have to understand what will be ith coordinate of this vector. Ith coordinate of this vector. Yes, students. Are you feeling difficult to understand? If so, please let me know. Yes? How can I write the norm of this vector now?
xi plus yi.
Very good. This is ith coordinate generate xi plus yi. Then for this ith coordinate we have taken a square and then we have added up to n tuples, right? This is the definition. Understood? See, like this. Mod xi, here taking square on both the sides, it will be summation I from 1 to n mod xi square simply, right now? So here it is mod xi plus yi square. Okay, can I write this mod square as mod xi plus yi into mod xi plus yi? Anyhow, I wanted to involve less equal inequality. Here we have equality. What I will do, I will separate one of the modulus. Okay, if I separate one of the modulus, though y are either complex or real, we have earlier proved that it satisfies the triangular inequality. Therefore, can I write less equal summation I equals to 1 to n? Let me keep the first one as it is. Let me separate the second one, mod xi plus mod yi. Is it okay? Now let us have a multiplication by this term to the bracket and we will separate the summations also. So let me write the first term is summation I equals to 1 to n mod of xi plus yi into mod xi added with summation I equals to 1 to n mod xi plus yi into mod yi. Okay. Now let us look at this Cauchy's inequality we have written. What Cauchy's inequality tells? Here it is. Summation mod xi into yi. How can I write? Less equal by norm x, norm y. Therefore, how can I write here? Actually, one can write it in combined form also, no? This I can write as mod xi plus yi dot xi, no? Right? I can write like this also. Therefore, I can use Cauchy's inequality to separate over the modulus. Can I write directly this as norm of x plus y into norm of x added with norm of x plus y into norm of y. Is it okay? What is the reason? Why? Cauchy's inequality. Is it okay? Then let me take norm x plus y common. What we remain with? Norm x plus norm of y. What we have to the left hand side? Norm square of x plus y. What's the next step? Can I cancel norm on both the sides? Norm x plus y. Can I cancel norm x plus y from both the sides? Yes, students. Prajakta Zamdar, can I cancel or not? Norm x plus y from both the sides. Anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, we cannot cancel directly unless we know the nature of norm of x plus y. Norm x plus y is a non-negative quantity. Therefore, it may take a zero value as well. Therefore, let me just write a note. If norm of x plus y equal to 0, we cannot cancel. Though we cannot cancel, but the inequality holds. No, 0 less than or equals to 0. Right? No. Obviously true. Then if norm of x plus y not equals to 0, that is greater than 0, na? Because we have only two possibilities, greater or equal to 0. Then divide both sides by norm of x plus y. Therefore, what we were getting if I divide, this is norm of x plus y less than or equals to norm of x plus norm of y. Thus, third property we have proved. What about the fourth one? Norm of alpha x is equal to mod alpha into norm of x. Consider what the definition of norm alpha x tells us. What is the ith vector? If x is having a xi as a ith vector, what is the ith vector of alpha x? How the scalar multiplication is evaluated? Coordinate by scalar multiplication. No. That is, this alpha is multiplied to every coordinate of x. Then what is the ith coordinate of alpha x? I don't know why you are not speaking. Correct? Alpha xi will be the ith coordinate. Let me take alpha out. This is mod alpha square into mod xi square raised to half as it is. Summation I equals to 1 to n. Now this alpha is independent of I. One can take it outside the summation. If I wanted to take outside the summation, I will take it outside the root also. Therefore, it will be mod alpha and we remains with summation I equals to 1 to n mod xi square raised to half. This is mod alpha into norm of x. Hence, we have proved norm alpha x is equals to mod alpha into norm of x. Okay. Hence, norm x equal to summation mod xi square raised to half is a norm of Rn and Cn. Therefore, can I write thus Rn and Cn are normed linear spaces. Right? What remains to prove then? These are the complete spaces. We will stop for today. Completeness property of the Euclidean spaces we will see in the next lecture. Thank you for being with me. If you have any query, you can unmute yourself and ask. Since there are no queries, we will stop here. Thank you.